And this is from, well, I guess the name, well, Utada, the Pink Blood Print.
Hi everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing Utada Hikaru's album Deep River. So the whole reason why I wanted to start this series where I finished reviewing Utada Hikaru's albums was because I kind of got a lot of replies about my opinion on this album on a meme that was going around where you had to retweet someone's question which was Utada Hikaru's worst album. The way that's worded is not really how I feel about it. However, I did get a lot of disgruntled replies from you guys when I said that this is their worst album, which doesn't really mean that it's bad because it's actually really, really good. Like I've said before, I think Utada's albums are all god tier. So I actually don't even dislike this album. It's just that the way I have ranked all of Utada's albums, this one has in recent years just fallen to the bottom in my opinion, and that's just my opinion, and I am more than happy to read your opinion in the comments down below if you want to word it respectfully. Again, there's tons of stuff I love about this album. It's just as of recently my least favorite, and I know that is controversial because this is Utada Hikaru's most critically acclaimed album. I purchased this copy when I was in Japan, my first ever trip to Japan, when I bought the Japanese version of Exodus at HMV somewhere in Tokyo. I got these two at the same time. And I actually have a lot of other personal memories tied to this album. When I went to Japan on that trip, I wanted to sing Hikari at karaoke, and so I ended up buying this album because that song was on there. I know I have a lot of rage towards Kingdom Hearts fans, but some of you guys might know I am a big Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I will get into that later in the review, but my Japanese friend, she recommended this one to me as well when we were shopping for CDs, and this was back in very early 2008. I literally was in Japan over New Year's, so I picked this album over Ultra Blue, which would later become my personal favorite. When I originally reviewed Ultra Blue, a few people were quick to let me know that Deep River is actually more critically well received than Ultra Blue. So yes, I will just jump into the review. The album opens with Sakura Drops, and the first time I ever heard this song was with my friend who I mentioned earlier. Back in high school, we were talking about Utada Hikaru, and of course I knew Utada's early singles and the Kingdom Hearts 1 theme song because only one had come out at that time. So she was like, oh, you'll really like this video, because I was going to college for animation the following year, and this video is very heavy on computer animation. And this is back in Utada's video heyday when her husband was directing her videos. So the video is very interesting, very iconic. I still like this song. It's just not one of my most favorites by Utada Hikaru, honestly. I listened to it to death back in the day, and that's kind of a big problem with a lot of Utada singles and me. Track 2 is Traveling, and I do really enjoy this song, but again, it's just a single that I have heard so many times. I do really enjoy it live. It is a song that Utada does perform on, I think, almost every live tour since it's come out, and it appears to be a fan favorite. It's kind of a welcome gem in Utada's discography where it's pretty upbeat and it's not too depressing, and it kind of seems to serve a crowd pumper during live shows. Track 3 is Shiawassee Ninaro, and this is an album track that I do really enjoy. It reminds me of the tone of Ultra Blue a little bit, but it's just not quite on Ultra Blue's level. I think the production just needs another couple layers in there. It's a little bit too stripped back, but I still like the song pretty well. Next up is the title track, Deep River, and I used to be very, very obsessed with this song, but I only just learned recently that the video is actually green screened. Hikaru was not on the beach for this video like they appear to be in it. Honestly, I haven't gone back to revisit this song in such a long time, but now that I am listening to it for this review, I realized that I could hear so much passion and careful enunciation in Hikaru's voice. I'm sure that this was picked for the title track for a very meaningful reason, and the video and the album art match each other, which I'm sure was done on purpose. Utada got married the same year that this album came out, so I have a feeling that the feelings that came from that are also represented in this album, or maybe a culmination of everything that was happening. becoming an adult and getting married and finding themselves on their path in life. Utada opens this song with some words, ten and sen, which is Japanese for line and dot, which they also used for the titles for their autobiographies. To me, these words represented my theory that Utada uses their music as a path or a roadmap through life, connecting all the dots with lines. Honestly, now that I've revisited the song, I remember that it's amazing and I regret having neglected it for years now. Track 5 is Letters. And I really love this song. This is probably my favorite on the album. Despite how many times I've listened to it and the years that have passed, I just love this song. The tender sense of longing just comes across so well. If it's about missing someone, it's still like a fairly upbeat song with a lot of passion injected into it, and I really love the live performances of this as well. The next song is Play Ball, and this, in my opinion, is where the album goes into a little downswing for me. I know I'm gonna say some things here that you guys don't like, and I hope that's okay. Remember, just my opinion, it's not that big of a deal. So Hikaru sings in English, "I'm throwing my heart at you" in this song, and it always makes me picture just like a bloody anatomical heart. So I really just can't get into this song, and it's just not my favorite. Track 7 is Tokyo Nights. I get the impression from the lyrics that this song is primarily about Utada's feeling about becoming famous and their loss of privacy. And Hikaru used the Japanese phrase for time limit, which is jikan no kagiri. So I'm kind of wondering if there's a connection between the two songs. I think the frenetic organ in this song is meant to represent the chaotic ambience of Tokyo. But that combined with the super high chorus kind of makes this song a little unlistenable to me these days. Definitely one of my least favorite songs by Utada, but again, back in the day when I first got into this album, I really liked it. I used to listen to this song all the time. So I still find the overall concept behind the song interesting, but it's just not that enjoyable for me. Next up we have ASAP. Maybe I should rethink my statement about the dip happening here, because I do really like this song. This one is my favorite of this section of the album, but just like the previous two songs, I find that it just doesn't stand up to Utada's other albums. I just like a lot of other songs by Utada way more than this. Next up we have Uso maitaina I love you, which means it seems like a lie, the I love you that seems like a lie. I've also seen it translated as the dubious I love you or the unbelievable I love you. This is a surprising rock song that stands out on Utada's discography, just like Drama does on Distance. I do like this song, even though it's not a style I normally associate with Hikki. It's a very commercialized sounding pop rock, but I really like Hikaru's vocals, especially here, and I hope that they revisit rock on the upcoming album actually. Track 10 is Final Distance. You guys probably know that this is a rework of Distance, which was made in honor of school children who were attacked by a man with a knife in Osaka on June 8th of 2001. And a little girl lost her life during the attack, whose name was Reina Yamashita, and she was a fan of Utada and wrote an essay about how she wanted to grow up to be just like Utada Hikaru. Reina would now be 27 years old had she not been murdered on that day. So knowing the history behind this track definitely makes it all the more heartbreaking. Hikaru carried the emotion perfectly in their voice, and I love the layered lead out of the song, and I really like the music video for this as well. So this song came out as a single with a cover photo that's very similar to the First Love album. Interestingly, this is Utada Hikaru's lowest selling single. I would have imagined it would have sold a lot more because of the news coverage, I guess, of the events behind the rework of the song. I do really like this version, and I believe this one is a fan favorite. I had this memory of like Utada performing this a lot, but I don't believe it's been performed actually since Utada United. Either way, it's a really special song that commemorates Reina's life. I think it's beautifully done, but just unfortunately it's kind of fallen by the wayside like a lot of the songs on this album for me, just from listening to them so much basically. Next up we have an interlude entitled Bridge, which is kind of like confusing. The instrumentals in this come across as very Japanese to me. Actually, this whole album seems to be like Utada's Japanesque era. There are also very Japanese instrumentals on Sakura Drops and Deep River. It seems to be essential for every Japanese artist to have a song about Sakura or Half Sakura in the title, or Tokyo in the title, and both of those things appear on this album. So I got the impression that Utada is really embracing their Japanese identity with this album. Overall, I think this interlude is just okay. It's probably my least favorite of all of Utada's interludes, and I don't know why they did this thing where they place an interlude right before the ending of an album. There must be some kind of methodology behind that. That's what Utada did with the interludes here on Deep River, and also on First Love and Ultra Blue. Heart Station had the most recent interlude that they did, and that appeared right in the middle of the album. So again, I'm not sure what the reasoning is behind that, or why they haven't done any interludes since then. Maybe just because it's fallen out of fashion for J-pop to have like intros and interludes and outros now. Maybe it's just budget reductions, or maybe Utada is just not really interested in doing those types of tracks anymore. The next song is Hikari, which means lights. You guys probably are all familiar with this song. Even if I casually mention Utada Hikaru to someone here in Canada, they will sometimes know this song. Like I was talking about First Love, because it was so insanely popular. A lot of like otaku people here in the West also know the song First Love, but they will know like Hikari and Sanctuary or Passion, Simple and Clean. It's very, very famous. Of course, people here in the West probably listen to Simple and Clean more than Hikari. I'm not really sure how I feel about these songs anymore. I used to really, really love this song. I know that I mentioned Utada's heyday for music videos during this era. That doesn't include the video for this one. This is Utada's video where they're just washing dishes in the kitchen and like nothing else happens. I feel like that was kind of tongue-in-cheek, like Utada showing us that they don't really care about this song or about Kingdom Hearts, so they couldn't be bothered to do like a big production for a music video. I might just be reading into that again, but yeah, so I don't really even do the song in karaoke anymore. It's just been so overplayed. I've heard it so many times and I'm just over it. So for the CD release, that is the end of the album, but on streaming services, this album also included Simple and Clean after Hikari, which I don't even really want to talk about. A major problem with this song is actually the fans, and I haven't really made a secret of that on my Twitter, where whenever Utada Hikaru is mentioned, when Utada Hikaru came out, there was all these Kingdom Hearts fans kind of dragging them for gender identity, or saying that Utada was trying to jump on a bandwagon. But by the way, I hope you come back for Kingdom Hearts is just like really rude. And on top of that, like I was saying, a lot of people who are a little bit nerdy or like extreme otakus know this song because of Kingdom Hearts. And whenever I go to like the Utada Hikaru tags on Twitter or Tumblr, it is just like filled with Simple and Clean posts. And especially on Tumblr, there's so many people who are not really in the Utada, you can tell are not like into Utada Hikaru, but they will constantly post about how Simple and Clean is the greatest song ever made, and they are always crying to Simple and Clean. And even when Utada is like putting out new songs and promotional images and like actual news is coming out, like those posts will get buried by several other Simple and Clean posts, and it is so annoying. The song is like 20 years old now, and I just wish people would move on, or at the very least like investigate Utada Hikaru's discography and appreciate their other music. And on top of that, like Utada Hikaru doesn't even care about Simple and Clean or Kingdom Hearts. They've dragged Simple and Clean many times and said that it doesn't make any sense. They had to just kind of like get it out the door for Disney. So it sucks that the fandom has essentially made me dislike this song. I feel like aggravated, and I know I'm just listening to it right now. I guess if you're watching this video, you're doing the right thing by exploring some other avenues in Utada Hikaru's music, or you're already a big fan. So I'm not mad at any of you guys, but yeah, it's mostly just like casual fans who are like, I love Utada Hikaru here in the West, and they know like the Kingdom Hearts theme songs and First Love. It's time to move on. It's really time to move on. And it's not the best song ever created. I'm sorry, it's just not.
Period.
Please be kind to me in the comments. I'm glad I got that off my chest. So again, I don't dislike this album. If you want to come for me in the comments for things I said that you disagree with, just be respectful. That's all I ask for. Try to keep in mind all of the like good things that I said about this album too. And I think mostly my gripes with this album is that the Kingdom Hearts theme songs have made it a little bit overrated, as well as like Traveling and Sakura Drops, that they've just been so overplayed that it really has dragged down this album. And the way like I picture it in my head is like the overplayed Utada album. Yeah, that is mainly why I would put it at the bottom of all of Utada Hikaru's albums, but again, I still love the album. I'm not saying it's bad in any real way. So that was my opinion on Deep River. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video regardless, and I will see you in my next video for my review of Utada Hikaru's single collection volume 2. Thanks for watching.